The series Filter begins with a girl named Sue. We learn that Sue has a strange ability that no one else has. One day, while she was riding a bus, she saw a boy harassing a girl, so she decided to take revenge on him in her own way. She grabbed him and beat him, then used her power, which made the boy start screaming in fear. We discover that her ability allows her to change her face into any other face. However, this power was not something she was born with. So let's go back 3 months before these events. Now we meet a new protagonist named Tang. Tang owns a cosmetics company, but he actually hates filters and heavy makeup on girls. He feels that many girls look fake because they do not accept their real appearance. At the same time, Sue has a job interview at Tang's company. As soon as she enters the elevator, the employees look at her with unpleasant expressions. However, she believes that the company does not care about appearances and that what truly matters to them is professional competence. But the surprise is that the manager insults her the moment he sees her, or rather, when he sees the photo attached to her CV, so he rejects her immediately. Sue leaves feeling upset and sits in a park in front of the company while calling her friend to tell her what happened. At that moment, we see a young man sitting next to her with some files. Sue assumes that he was also rejected from the job, so she tries to comfort him. However, she has no idea that this young man is actually Tang himself, the owner of the company. Tang eventually leaves and forgets a pink-colored box behind. Meanwhile, Sue begins thinking about a boy she used to like back in school. Later, her former classmates decide to organize a reunion gathering. She returns home, and we learn that Sue lives with her mother, father, and her sister, who is a lawyer. Sue tells her sister about the reunion, and her sister encourages her to go, saying maybe she will see the boy she used to like. At the same time, Tang is talking to his friend about the same reunion. The surprising twist is that Tang is actually the same boy Sue used to admire in school. The next day, Sue puts on makeup, dresses nicely, and goes to the reunion with her friend. As soon as she arrives, she starts helping the workers arrange the hall, which ends up ruining her appearance. At that moment, Tang walks into the hall. Sue feels embarrassed about how she looks, but she convinces herself that he probably will not remember her. Coincidentally, Tang is thinking the same thing. Sue then starts talking with her old classmates and tells them that she works at a certain company. Later, she discovers that one girl's boyfriend actually works there. So unfortunately, her lie is exposed, and she becomes very embarrassed. She goes to grab a drink and opens the bottle with her hand, which surprises everyone because of her strength. Soon, people begin lining up, so she can open their drinks too. When Tang's turn comes, Sue gets nervous, and the bottle bursts in his face. Her makeup falls off, and Tang is shocked when he sees her real appearance. He then takes out his phone and secretly takes a photo of her. Sue becomes extremely upset and runs away crying. Outside, she sees an elderly woman selling flowers. She buys some flowers from her, and the old woman decides to give her a bracelet. Sue happily accepts it, but she has no idea that this bracelet is not ordinary. It is actually magical. Later, she takes the subway home. While she's on the subway, the lights suddenly go out and quickly come back on. When they return, Sue's appearance has changed. She has become an incredibly beautiful girl. As she walks down the street, she notices people staring at her and complimenting her beauty. At that moment, she sees her mother and father, but they do not recognize her. Confused, she runs to a car mirror and sees her reflection, which shocks her. Immediately, she takes out her small mirror, and her old appearance returns. She convinces herself that what happened must have been an illusion. After all this, she returns home. The next day, she tells her sister about what happened. Her sister tells her that it is natural for that guy to be shocked by her appearance, because she does not take care of herself. Meanwhile, Tang is at his company, searching for a natural and beautiful model. At that moment, Sue's friend calls Tang and asks to meet him, since she is also his classmate. When they meet, she tells him that he should apologize to Sue for what he did the previous day. In return, she offers him a warehouse for free for 5 years, if he apologizes to her. However, Tang says that he did nothing wrong. Neither of them realize that Sue is standing nearby and hears their entire conversation. Feeling hurt, she leaves without letting them see her. While she is walking, she sees a small boy about to be hit by something, so she quickly runs and saves him. At that moment, Tang comes out and also rushes forward thinking he needs to rescue the boy. When he sees Sue, he notices her second appearance, and is stunned by how beautiful she is. Impressed, he offers her a job as a model at his company. Sue is completely shocked until she looks at her reflection and realizes her appearance has changed again. Tang realized this when he saw her reflection in the lens of his glasses. At that moment, he gave her his phone number and told her to think about the offer. When Sue returned, her friend kept calling her until she finally appeared in front of her. Sue tried to convince her friend that she was actually Sue, even though she looked completely different. After that, they went back to the place where the old woman used to sell flowers. But the market owner told them that no one was allowed to sell there anymore, because the government had banned it. They tried to return home, but Sue's friend said, "If you really are Sue, then open the door with your fingerprint." Sue placed her finger on the scanner, and the door opened. That was when her friend finally believed that she truly was Sue. They then tried in every possible way to remove the bracelet from Sue's hand, but it would not come off. Eventually, Sue pressed on the bracelet, and suddenly a keypad with symbols appeared, symbols that only she could see. Through it, she figured out how to return to her original appearance, and also how to change her face whenever she wanted. The two of them began experimenting with the bracelet. They changed Sue's clothes, makeup, and even her voice, and they decided to give this new identity a name, Somayao. Meanwhile, Tang was trying to find the girl he had seen earlier. He noticed the logo of his company on Somyao's bag, which allowed him to get her phone number. At the same time, Sue, disguised as Somyao, was walking outside when she saw her sister arguing with a man. The man was angry because Sue's sister, being a lawyer, had helped his wife divorce him. Sue stepped in and beat the man until he ran away. When Sue returned home, she gave her sister a can of pepper spray so she could defend herself in the future. Her sister then told her that she had found her a job at a company as a marketing trainer, which made Sue extremely happy. At that same moment, the company called Sue and told her to come for an interview the next day. Meanwhile, Tang was sitting and sketching Somyao's face while staring at it thoughtfully. He had also saved her number in his phone under the name Angel Sue. The next morning, Sue prepared herself and went to the company. But as soon as she arrived, the employees grabbed her and took her to change her clothes and apply makeup. They were shocked because they thought they had actually called Somyao, not Sue. Tang then said it was impossible that this girl was the one he wanted. Feeling upset, Sue quickly ran to the bathroom. She remembered a previous incident when people had played a prank on her, telling her that Tang liked heavy makeup. But when she showed up wearing it, Tang had been so shocked that he ran away from her. This time, Sue decided to use the bracelet and transform into Somyao. When Tang saw her, he was amazed by her beauty. However, Somyao did not care about his reaction. She told them she would not work with them because they were shallow people, and they needed to understand that a girl's beauty lies in her thoughts and personality, not in her appearance. Then she left. Tang chased after Sue and told her that she must know Somyao since she had arrived at the company in her place. Sue told him that Somyao was her friend. Tang kept begging Sue to talk to Somyao and convince her to meet him. Sue later told her friend about this and made up some story. They agreed that Sue would meet Tang again as Somyao in order to get revenge on him. She decided to wear a very shiny dress and sparkling accessories because she remembered that when Sue once wore something similar before, Tang had been disgusted and almost vomited, so she wanted to do everything he hated. At the meeting, she also ordered food that Tang disliked. Tang struggled to eat it and nearly vomited, while Sue secretly enjoyed watching him suffer. She kept making exaggerated movements to make her sparkling outfit shine even more. Then she secretly used the bracelet and chose an option that attracted flies to her. Tang kept trying to chase them away. After that, Sue used the bracelet again and gave herself an allergic reaction so that her face started swelling. She stood up to leave, but Tang followed her and told her that he actually liked her confidence. He said that if it had been another girl, she would have run away immediately after having an allergic reaction. Meanwhile, Sue's friend noticed a turtle near her car. The turtle's owner tried to trick her by claiming that the turtle brought good luck and tried to sell it to her for a very expensive price. At the same time, Tang's friend happened to be in the same place and tried to take advantage of the situation too. But Sue's friend turned out to be smarter and bought it for a very cheap price instead. After that, Sue started her marketing job. One day, she overheard the team talking about Somyao and saying that if Somyao refused to work with them, the company might go bankrupt. Sue began to feel guilty. She also noticed the same pink box that Tang had forgotten before. Soon after, they had a meeting at the company. When Tang finished the meeting, he kept calling Song Yao. This time, Sue answered and told him she agreed to work with them, but on one condition. Tang had to do anything that Sue asked him to do. Tang then went to Sue and told her about this condition. Sue decided to make him record a video of himself pouring water over his head while apologizing to Sue, and then send it to their former classmates' group chat. After that, Sue went to the company as Song Yao, and the filming began. When Tang saw that she looked nervous, he tried to cheer her up. He wore a shiny shirt, started dancing, and told everyone to laugh at him. His plan worked, and Song Yao finally laughed. Then Song Yao poured water on herself to prove that her makeup was waterproof. Tang remembered what had happened between him and Sue. This time he thought Sue Miao looked extremely beautiful. Meanwhile, Sue kept switching throughout the day between her real identity and Sue Miao, so she could continue doing both jobs. She told the team that Sue was the one who had convinced her to accept the job and asked them to take good care of her. To celebrate their success, the team held a party at a restaurant and took Sue with them. During the party, Sue drank a lot and called her friend to come pick her up. But when her friend arrived, Tang's friend got into the car with her by mistake, thinking it was his car and that she was his driver. She kept telling him to get out, but he was so drunk that he could barely talk. He even started vomiting in her car. She then called Sue and told her she could not come pick her up because a random drunk guy had gotten into her car and caused trouble. Meanwhile, Sue tried to leave the restaurant, but the staff told her that her friend was sleeping inside and that they wanted to close the place. When Sue realized the sleeping person was actually Tang, she easily lifted him and took him to his house. When she got there, she fell asleep at Tang's place as well. When she woke up, she was shocked and tried to leave quietly, but Tang noticed her and stood at the door, asking, "Who are you?" Sue quickly changed her face into Sue Miao's. Tang became extremely happy, thinking that Sue Miao had spent the night at his house. He immediately called his friend and told him everything that had happened. At that moment, he noticed her bracelet and even tried it on his own wrist. Meanwhile, Sue's friend had left Tang's friend in her car because she did not know where to take him. When he woke up, she was about to scold him, but he apologized. Still, Sue's friend made him pay for the mess he had caused the night before. He transferred some money to her, then turned off his phone and told her he would send the rest once his phone was charged. Later, there was a meeting at the company, and they decided to officially hire Sue. To celebrate with her team, Sue went to buy cake and coffee. But when she returned, she overheard them praising Sue Miao and saying they preferred her over Sue. At the same time, Tang told his friend that he wanted to marry Sue Miao. He kept calling her, but she did not answer because Sue, in her real identity, had been given a lot of work to keep her busy. She worked late into the night and eventually went to the bathroom. Suddenly, there was thunder outside, and the bracelet started updating itself. Because of that, Sue began transforming automatically between her identities without controlling it. Tang heard a noise and went to check, hoping to see Sue Miao. To stop him from seeing her real identity, Sue suddenly hugged him. But when she realized she could not keep hiding forever, she hit him and knocked him unconscious before he could see her true face. At the same time, Tang's friend went to Sue's friend's house to give her the money he owed. He felt like someone was hiding there, and when he looked closely, he saw Sue Miao. She quickly pushed him, causing him to fall onto her friend. That was when he realized the girl was actually her friend as well. The next day, he went to the company and found Tang lying on the floor. He told him what had happened the previous night. Meanwhile, Sue decided to start working from home. Tang kept messaging her, trying to understand why she had acted that way. The bracelet was still updating, which meant Sue had to stay in the identity of Sue Miao for longer periods. Tang then went to Sue's friend's house to invite Sue Miao to dinner. That night, she agreed to go. When she arrived, she discovered that Tang had prepared a romantic dinner by the sea. Tang confessed to her, saying that he had been drawn to her from the moment he first saw her, that he loved her, and that he wanted to marry her. At that moment, thunder struck again, and the bracelet started updating on its own, switching her identities randomly without her control. To avoid being exposed, Sue suddenly jumped into the sea. Tang jumped in after her, trying to catch her, but she kept escaping until she reached the harbor. There, she got into her friend's car, and the two of them drove away. Tang later went to Sue's friend's house to find out why Sue Miao had run away. While there, Su Miao accidentally fell down the stairs, and they rushed her to the hospital. Realizing that Tang was becoming very attached to her, Su decided to tell him that she did not love him, hoping he would stop chasing after her. She told him this directly, and he left feeling deeply upset. The next day, Sue's friend went to meet the publishing manager she worked with. She stopped by a cafe and saw that they were hosting a lottery for a game related to one of her novels. At that moment, Tang's friend happened to be there too. He played the game and won the prize on his first try. He tried to give the prize to her so she would feel better, but she refused and walked away. Later, Tang's friend met Sue's sister, who had been his friend for a long time. From her, he learned that Sue had not gone to work for 2 days. He tried to give her the prize he had won, but she said that her sister's friend was the one who liked such games. After that, Sue's sister secretly followed Sue's friend and eventually arrived at the hospital. At that moment, Sue was trying to get out of bed, and Tang helped her because he had come to visit her. After helping her, he left. Sue quickly wrapped bandages around her face because the bracelet's update was about to finish, and she was afraid her identity would be exposed. But when Tang saw her, he recognized the bracelet immediately. Then, when her friend's sister entered the room, Tang tried to remove the bandages from Sue's face. When he finally saw her face, he was shocked because Sue had the same. Tang noticed that she had the same bracelet and the same injury. Sue quickly explained that her friend had been injured 2 days earlier and that they were close friends, so it was normal for them to wear the same bracelets. At that moment, her sister took her and they went back home. Later, Sue and her friend decided to tell her sister everything. Meanwhile, Tang was still at the hospital and discovered that Sue had been completing company work from there. Because of this, Tang went to Sue's friend's house and told her that Sue had revealed company work to Su Miao, which violated the contract because the company's business was supposed to remain confidential. When he went inside so Sue could explain the situation, he saw her sister. At that moment, we learned that the new update of the bracelet had given it another ability. Sue could now transform not only into people, but also into objects and animals. Because of that, she kept turning into statues and paintings whenever Tang was nearby, just to avoid being discovered, until he finally left. However, Tang refused to leave easily because he wanted to talk to Sue. Sue then told him that Su Miao had borrowed her laptop to finish some work and would return it later, implying that it was not related to the company's work. Later that night, Sue sent Tang a message telling him not to love her, not to come near her, and not to approach her anymore. However, Tang focused only on the part where she mentioned that they would meet again at the end of the week, which made him very happy. The next day at the company, Tang excitedly asked Sue what he should do to win Su Miao's love. Sue replied that he should just be himself. Meanwhile, Sue became upset when she discovered that one of her coworkers had stolen her work plan and presented it as her own. Sue then used the bracelet to transform into a cartoon-like character and scared her coworker. Terrified, the coworker confessed in front of everyone that the plan actually belonged to Sue and that she had stolen it. Tang witnessed this moment and also saw how Sue later forgave her coworker. This made him realize how kind and warm-hearted Sue truly was. At the same time, Sue's friend was shopping at the market, and coincidentally, Tang's friend was shopping there too. Sue's friend slipped and fell, and he quickly helped her up. Unfortunately, her pants tore during the fall, so he gave her his jacket to cover herself. Meanwhile, Sue, her sister, and her friend came up with a very dangerous plan to make Tang forget about Su Miao. They arranged for Su Miao to meet him in an empty place, as if it were a romantic date. Sue then used a scorpion filter, pretending that the scorpion had stung her, so Tang would think she had died from the poison. But the plan failed when Tang accidentally killed the scorpion. The only filter she had left was the lightning filter, which would make it look like she had been struck by lightning and died. When Tang saw her supposedly struck by lightning, he fainted beside her. Later, they confirmed that he was still alive and took him to the hospital. When Tang woke up, his friends told him that Su Miao had died. Everyone even attended her funeral. During the funeral, Sue, her sister, and her friend pretended to cry and mourn her. Tang was deeply affected and blamed himself because he had invited her out that night. He felt extremely guilty and regretful. Meanwhile, Sue, her sister, and her friend secretly celebrated because Tang, who had been obsessed with Su Miao, would finally move on. However, Tang began drinking heavily and eating foods he disliked. Because of that, he developed a severe allergic reaction in his eyes, and if he did not receive proper care, he could even lose his sight. Later, Tang's friend went to Sue's friend's house to ask if there was anything that still smelled like Su Miao, so Tang could keep it as a memory. But instead, Tang found the makeup Su Miao had used, and also the contract between her and the company. He tried to read it and analyze the handwriting, but his vision was blurry because of his inflamed eyes. When Sue found out that Tang had the contract, she went to his house to check on him and retrieve it. But when she arrived, she was surprised that he did not welcome her inside, so she used the bracelet to transform into an alpaca. Her friend then called Tang and told him that the alpaca was a pet that had belonged to Su Miao. Tang took the alpaca in. Sue, in alpaca form, saw the contract, jumped on it, tore it to pieces, and destroyed Su Miao's makeup. If anyone had analyzed those items, they might have found Sue's fingerprints and discovered the truth. While she was in the form of the alpaca, she acted annoyed with Tang, but Tang treated the animal very gently. He did not show any anger at all. Instead, he kept talking to the alpaca about how much he loved Su Miao. He said he loved her deeply and that he admired her because she had a childlike innocence. At that moment, Sue realized something important. Tang had never cared about her appearance at all. Later, we discover that Tang had a sensitivity to bright lights. On the day they first met, he could not clearly see Su Miao's face because the sunlight was too strong. He had fallen in love with her kind behavior, not her looks. Even when she wore the extremely shiny dress before, he had not been disgusted by it. The reason he reacted badly was simply because his eyes could not tolerate strong lights. After realizing this, Sue understood how shallow her judgments had been and how unfair she had been to him. She was deeply moved when she saw that he had kept her hair clip as a memory. She waited until he fell asleep, then carefully carried him to his bed before leaving. When Tang woke up the next day, his eyes had improved significantly. Later, Sue took him to the zoo so he could see the alpaca again. A week later, Tang decided to return to work. It was clear that he was working extremely hard just to forget about Su Miao. Meanwhile, Sue's friend and Tang's friend began spending more time together and going out together. At the company, Sue shared her opinion about a new product they were developing. It became obvious that she was intelligent and had strong marketing skills, but Tang still refused to openly acknowledge it. Sue then offered to walk Tang home. On the way, Tang seemed hesitant but started talking about their school days. Sue was surprised that he had actually paid attention to her back then. Tang then noticed a pendant in Sue's bag and thought it belonged to Su Miao. Sue quickly explained that she and Su Miao had bought it together. Later, Sue went to meet her sister. The issue was about her sister's client, who had filed a lawsuit against her husband, who was also her business partner. The woman had suffered an accident while investigating something important. Sue needed to use her filters to stop the husband from stealing the research belonging to the client. To do this, Sue used the bracelet to take on the client's face. Later, they discovered that the husband was planning to sell the research to Tang's company. Sue transformed and went to the company, where she saw the husband arguing with his wife because she refused to sell the contract. Tang happened to overhear their argument. When the husband tried to attack her, Sue quickly stepped in and hit him. Tang then came out from where he had been hiding. The husband immediately told Tang to be a witness and claimed that she had attacked him. However, Tang's friends advised him to choose another company partner because the couple's problems could affect their business. But Tang refused because he wanted to know whether the husband would divorce her or not. Later, the client met Tang to persuade him to testify for her. She showed him evidence of how her husband had abused and beaten her. While they were talking, a loose thread from her shirt got tangled with Tang's clothes as they tried to remove it. When she leaned closer to him, his heart suddenly began beating rapidly, as if he were starting to develop feelings for her. Even so, he initially refused to get involved, saying the issue was between her and her husband. But later, he went to the police officer and reported the husband, choosing to support her after all. After that, Tang wanted to meet her again to discuss their business partnership. This meant that Sue would have to go with him, since she understood the product well. Sue then explained the situation to her sister and her friend. The problem was that she was currently pretending to be the client. So they came up with a plan where Sue would repeatedly go to the bathroom during the meeting to switch identities using the bracelet. And in the end, their plan worked successfully. After everything was finished, and Sue and Tang left the place, the next day Sue discovered that the client's husband had taken the research and sold it to another company. So Sue went to that company, disguised as the client, and canceled the cooperation agreement. When the husband found out, he tried to attack her, but Tang stepped in and stood in front of him. They got into a fight, and Tang warned him never to raise his hand against her again. After that, they went to the park. The client tried to check Tang's injuries, but Tang seemed lost in another world, a world full of romantic thoughts and imagination. Meanwhile, Sue was trying to understand her own feelings. However, we realized that Tang had not fallen in love with Sue herself, but with the client's identity that Sue was pretending to be. Later, Tang talked with his friend, who told him he needed to be sure about his feelings, whether they were real love or just sympathy. Tang then sent her a message saying he would go to the laboratory. Sue rushed there quickly, leaving her work behind. The two of them ate together without speaking for a while. Suddenly, the electricity went out. Tang stood up and turned on a light so they would not have to eat in the dark. They continued talking until the power came back on. When the lights returned, they found the husband standing there with another man. They had entered the lab because the husband suspected something was going on between them, but Sue quickly hid before he could see her. Then Sue appeared in her real appearance, and Tang was shocked to see her there. She told them that it was inappropriate for someone to sit and eat with his girlfriend inside the laboratory. The husband was suspicious and said it was impossible, especially because Tang had been looking at her strangely. Tang became angry and said that she was very beautiful. After that, the husband left. Tang then asked Sue where the client had gone. Sue told him that she had run away and that she herself had only come there by coincidence. But luckily, she arrived in time to help him. Tang thanked her sincerely. That night, Sue kept thinking about Tang's words when he had said she was beautiful. The next day, the husband leaked photos of Sue and Tang together to the company. The employees started accusing Sue of chasing after Tang in order to make him fall in love with her. But Tang defended her and said that he was the one chasing after her, not the other way around. Sue later went to explain to Tang that she never meant to embarrass him. Tang told her that he meant every word he had said and that he truly believed it. After that, he started sending her flowers every day until the legal case was resolved. Sue misunderstood his actions and thought he was only doing it because of the client, not because of her. She did not realize that when Tang said she was beautiful, he had actually meant her. Later, Sue and her friend came up with another plan. They decided to secretly film the husband cheating with his secretary. Sue's friend brought Tang's friend along to help, though Tang himself knew nothing about it. Sue used an invisibility filter while secretly recording them. When the plan succeeded, the girls celebrated their victory. However, they soon discovered that the real client had finally awakened from her coma. Her husband was the first to learn about it. He went to see her, thinking she had been deceiving him all along. He took her away with him. Tang saw them and chased after them. He also sent Sue a message. Sue figured out where they were and rushed there. By the time she arrived, the husband had tied Tang up because he could not defeat him in a fight. Sue entered the room disguised as the client to help Tang, but she discovered that Tang had already freed himself. Meanwhile, the husband had disappeared somewhere else. Sue's first priority was to find the real client, but before doing that, she needed to keep Tang away from her, so she pushed him into a room and locked him inside. Knowing that Tang had sensitivity to bright light, she covered his eyes and created a distraction so security guards would not notice them. When the guards left, she told him not to interfere anymore. Tang began reflecting deeply on his feelings. After that, Sue changed back into her real appearance and went to rescue the client. She told her to run away while she dealt with the husband. Before escaping, the client saw Tang, who told her to run from the security guards. She left him behind, which made Tang think she had abandoned him. Later, Sue returned disguised as the client and rescued Tang again. They walked together until Sue finally spotted the real client. To prevent Tang from seeing two identical clients, Sue locked him in a room. However, thunder struck again, and the bracelet malfunctioned. She could not return to her real appearance or lock the door properly. Tang came out and saw the real client. He helped her, but he was confused by how weak and frightened she seemed. Soon the police arrived and rescued her from her husband. Sue secretly watched Tang as he stared thoughtfully at the client, trying to figure out his own feelings. Later, Tang went out drinking and told his friend that he felt something for the client. At the same time, He admitted that sometimes he did not feel anything at all and was confused about his emotions. Meanwhile, the client finally met Sue and noticed that she looked exactly like the person who had helped her earlier. She was very surprised, but thanked Sue for saving her from her terrible situation. When the court finally delivered its verdict, the court granted her the divorce from her husband. The husband still tried to win her back, but she refused to go back to her husband and instead went with her lawyer, who even organized a divorce celebration party for her. After that, she went to Tang's company and officially signed the contract with them. That night, Tang went to the client's laboratory. At the same time, we learned that Sue was there disguised as the client, while the real client was also present because the bracelet had not started working again yet. When Tang entered, he heard a noise coming from a cabinet. The client quickly told him that she had been pretending to be a wax statue. After that, Tang invited her to dinner, but she sent Sue in her place instead. Sue walked with Tang for quite a long distance. After a while, she told him she had work to do, so she left him and went away. Meanwhile, the real client was preparing to present the new product and had to be filmed for the promotion. She felt extremely nervous. Sue tried to encourage her, but the client was so frightened that she locked herself inside a room. Sue went to her and said, "Go out and face the people the way you want. You don't have to wear elegant clothes. Just be yourself, and don't worry about what others think." The client listened to her advice, went ahead with the filming, and the product presentation was a success. Later, Sue appeared in the garden, disguised as the client. Suddenly, Tang arrived and sat beside her. Tang confessed to her, saying, "I love you." Sue was shocked and immediately ran away from him. A little later, the real client appeared, and Tang asked her again whether she loved him or not. The client was confused because she had no idea what he was talking about, so she simply left. At that moment, Tang felt that something strange was going on. When they returned home, Sue told the client that Tang had confessed his love to her. However, the client rejected the idea, saying that Tang had actually fallen in love with Sue's identity, not with her real self. The next day, Sue discovered another new update in the bracelet. With this update, she could transform into a character from a novel. The girls then came up with another plan. Sue would transform into a male character named Chen, and they would pretend that Chen was in a relationship with the client. The plan worked. When Tang saw them together, he became upset and jealous. He asked to speak with her one last time. She told him that she had two sides to her personality, one strong and one weak, and that the stronger side would eventually disappear with time. Tang was deeply shocked by this. Because of the emotional shock, he suddenly started seeing the entire world in black and white. He could no longer recognize colors, not even the colors of traffic lights. At one point, a car was about to hit him, but Sue saved him at the last moment because she happened to be in the same street. The strange thing was that Tang could still see Sue in color, even though everything else around him appeared black and white. This confused him greatly. Sue thought he had been trying to end his life, but she did not realize that he simply could not see colors properly anymore. Tang thanked her and then left. Soon it started raining. Tang suddenly saw her return carrying an umbrella. He felt happy and walked with her through the rain until they reached his house. He told her to change her clothes and dry her hair, and then she could go home. She entered the house with him and pretended she did not recognize the place, even though she had already been there before while transformed into an animal. Tang did not show her that he could not see colors anymore. After they ate, Sue suddenly felt stomach pain, so she called her friend to come pick her up. At that moment, her friend happened to be with Tang's friend, so they both went to the house together and took Sue home. Later, Tang went to see a doctor. The doctor told him that the problem was psychological and advised him to visit a psychiatrist. However, the doctor also gave him a strange piece of advice. He should spend more time with the girl he could still see in color. While walking outside, Tang saw a colorful boy and started chasing after him. Eventually, he realized that the boy was heading toward Sue's friend. Sue's friend explained that they had known each other since childhood. In reality, Sue had transformed into a character from her friend's novel so that her friend could see her. That night, Tang sent Sue a message asking if they could go out for coffee together. Sue's friend was surprised, but Tang actually wanted to talk about his problem with colors and perhaps find a solution. One day, they rode the subway together. When the subway suddenly stopped, Tang hugged Sue, and at that moment, he started seeing colors again. However, when he let go of her, everything returned to black and white. Tang held her hands tightly, but Sue became annoyed and pushed him away. Later, she apologized, and even wrapped a scarf around his neck so he would not catch a cold. A few days later, they were preparing for a conference scheduled for the weekend. Sue and her friend were staying in a hotel room, and the character Chen had also been invited. Coincidentally, Chen's room turned out to be the same as Tang's room. Sue, disguised as Chen, went to Tang's room and found him struggling to choose his clothes, even though the lights were dim. At another moment, she saw him eating grapes and realized that he could not even tell the difference between their colors. Because of this, she decided to stay in the room with him for a while. Tang then began to notice something strange. Chen behaved very similarly to the client he loved, and at the same time, he also acted a lot like Su Miao. The next day, Su's friend told Sue, Tang got a color-related job, and on the day of the presentation, Sue wrote the color names on every piece of clothing so that Tang wouldn't mix them up. While Tang was standing with his friend, a woman from a competing company came. She wanted them to try their makeup products, but it seemed like she already knew Tang had a problem with colors. So Tang called Sue's friend and told him, I'll send Sue to you. She knows about the situation and she'll help you. Tang had already put himself in a difficult position in front of the cameras that were trying to expose him. When Sue arrived, she let him apply the makeup on her in front of the cameras, which saved the situation. After he finished, he thanked her and told her how beautiful she was. Later, Tang and Sue went for a walk. Tang explained that he could see all the colors whenever she was close to him. Sue hugged him, and at that moment, Tang's colors returned. She kissed him on the cheek, and his vision went completely back to normal. After that, Sue left because she had a show that evening. Tang and his friend were proud of both Sue and her friend for their performance. However, Tang began to suspect something about Xin and Sue, because he could see both of them in color when he had his color problem. Tang decided to confront Sue about it. She told him to look through the window, and he saw both of them standing together, because Sue had the ability to transform anything into whatever shape she wanted. We then learned that Sue had been transforming into Xin, but when she went to her friend's room, the bracelet suddenly stopped working while she was in Xin's form. She went to the car and saw Tang also wanted to ride with her. While they were driving, she received pregnancy-related calls in front of Tang. Suddenly, thunder struck during the trip, and Sue returned to her real form. Tang was shocked. Sue tried to convince him that his face had also changed, but when Tang returned to the company, he learned from an employee that the calls had actually been for Sue. That made him suspicious again. When Tang discovered that Sue had taken a leave from work, he went to her house. Her sister came with him, and Tang explained what had happened in the car. At that moment, Sue and Xin appeared in front of them. Xin suddenly started bleeding until he died, and Tang blamed himself for what happened. But we later learned that this was part of Sue's plan so she could get rid of Xin. The bracelet had also received an update that allowed Sue to change any of her friends' appearances, and they staged the entire scene in front of Tang. Tang kept blaming himself, but later he noticed a bloodstain on his shirt. When he tested it, he discovered it wasn't real blood at all. Tang then went to the civil registry office to search for the name Xin, but he couldn't find any record of him. He called Sue and asked about Xin's family. Sue told him his grandmother was alive, but the rest of the family had died. At that moment, Sue transformed into an old woman at her grandmother's house. Meanwhile, Tang's friend was being beaten in the house so he could locate it, and he discovered it was Sue's grandfather's house. When Tang realized this, he pretended that he couldn't see. Sue, disguised as the old woman, took him to a doctor. The doctor said his blindness was psychological. Afterward, she returned him home. Tang noticed how strong she was, and he also realized she seemed familiar with the layout of his house, as if she had been there before. He then noticed the cover of a novel that looked exactly like something he had seen before. Later, when Sue returned to her grandmother's house, she called Tang and asked why he had been calling her so much. Tang told her that he had gone blind, and Sue said she would help him. At the same time, Tang's friend confessed his love to Sue's friend. Tang then took a week off work and told Sue that the doctor had advised him to spend time with her and with Xin's grandmother. So Sue went and transformed her friend into Xin's grandmother. Tang's friend saw the transformation and became furious. He decided to throw them out of the house without explanation. Tang then met his friend and explained everything he had discovered, that all the different people he had seen were just illusions. His friend told him the important thing was that no one had actually died, so he shouldn't blame himself. One day, Sue was standing outside Tang's house. When Tang came out, she followed him. She noticed two men who seemed to want to harm him. She was shocked when Tang recognized her, even without seeing her. The two men began chasing them. Sue used the bracelet again. She transformed into an old woman and turned Tang into a young boy. Tang was shocked when he saw his new appearance. Then Sue changed again into Su Miao, quickly restored Tang's original appearance, and killed the man who had been filming Tang. Tang called the police about the man. Sue was shocked because Tang could still see, and he told her, "I know who you are. You're Sue. I was trying to expose you." Sue immediately ran away. That night, Tang told her they needed to meet, because he had the right to understand what was going on. When they met, she told him the whole truth and explained she had done everything for his sake. Tang forgave her, but he left with a broken heart. The next day, Sue went to work feeling nervous because her behavior had been strange lately. During a meeting, she suggested a new idea, and everyone liked it. She went to work at a nursing home to test the company's products there. Tang noticed how kind she was to everyone. After work, they returned home. That night, Tang stayed up drawing her portrait, and the next morning, he arrived with a bouquet of flowers and confessed his love to her. Sue didn't believe him at first. Later, they talked about their school days, and Tang explained he had misunderstood many things before. When he once criticized her makeup in a photo, he actually meant the makeup quality was bad, not her appearance. When lightning flashed, Sue's appearance changed again. They were happy because it was the first time they truly understood each other's feelings. But Sue remained stuck in the old woman's form, and Tang told her to stay like that until the transformation changed back. Because of this, Sue disappeared from her family, and her parents asked her friend to help find her. Eventually, they learned she had entered a relationship, so they were happy for her and decided to invite Tang to meet the family. Sue's friend also invited her boyfriend because she didn't have her own family. Later, Sue returned to normal, but she didn't realize the bracelet's new update could reveal her inner thoughts. When she came out, Tang could actually see what she was thinking. Eventually, everyone learned about their relationship, and in the coming days, their new project succeeded. One night, they came back drunk, and Sue stayed at Tang's house. The next morning, Tang's sister saw them together and was happy for them. But when Sue tried to leave, she suddenly began transforming uncontrollably into a sheep, into Shin, and into other forms. The bracelet was malfunctioning and even activated an invisibility feature, making her disappear. Even though she was invisible, Tang could still sense that she was there. Sue then explained that the old woman who gave her the magical bracelet was responsible for everything. They decided to go the next morning to find her. They searched the police station records and discovered that the old woman had actually died 2 years earlier. They tried every possible way to break the bracelet, but nothing worked. So Sue, her family, and their colleagues gathered together to explain everything and look for a solution. We then learned that her family believed Sue was traveling, while her co-workers thought she was sick. Tang brought her color labels so she wouldn't get confused again. After that, he proposed to her, and she accepted. We see them all sitting together, chatting happily. Suddenly, the bracelet started ringing. It asked Sue whether she wanted to continue this game or not. Sue replied that she wanted to return to her real appearance and her old life. The old woman agreed and arranged to meet her the next day at a specific place. When the next day arrived, Sue went there, and Tang went with her to the same place. At that moment, her appearance returned to normal, and people were finally able to see her true face again. We learned that the old woman had done all of this so Sue could value and love herself. Sue was then able to remove the bracelet easily, and the old woman left. After that, Sue lived a peaceful life with Tang. Later, Sue's friend turned out to be pregnant, and Sue went with her to the hospital to check on the baby. When they came out, they saw her friend's boyfriend and his mother. When the boyfriend heard the news, he mistakenly thought Sue was the one who was pregnant, and that the baby belonged to Tang. But Tang understood that Sue's friend was actually the pregnant one. Tang's friend began giving him advice about having children, and Sue's friend clarified that she was the pregnant one, not Sue. Everyone then became happy about the baby. After that, Tang set up a small tent-like arrangement to propose to Sue again. However, the setup didn't go as planned. So Sue secretly put on the ring herself, without Tang noticing, and then she proposed to him instead. He agreed, and they decided to get married. They held a simple wedding without disguises, transformations, heavy beauty treatments, or makeup. In the end, everyone lived happily without any harm, and that is where the series ends.